Hello. Today we're starting topic 4, which is statistics. Okay, the first section is we're just going to focus on the collection of data and sampling. But first of all, what is statistics? It is the most important, in my opinion, most important part in math. It is the most widely used in the real world. You see it all the time. It's everywhere, thrown in your face. However, it is also the most misunderstood. People skew it all the time to try and manipulate it and get you to think what they think. You have to be wary when it comes to statistics. It can be manipulated. Okay, so hopefully this starts the most important lessons for you guys forever. Okay, or it just gets you through high school, one or the other. All right, so when we start with statistics, we have to collect data, we organize it, and then we try to describe the population based off that. Okay, so usually the population is too massive. I can't get everybody in the world, let alone America. So we try to draw a sample. Okay, and if we get a sample that is well chosen and described, okay, when it represents the population, then you can get some statistical inferences and some conclusions. Okay, all right, so types of data. You have two types, either discrete or continuous. All right, discrete is something that can be counted. Okay, there's no decimals, fractions. Okay, you're counting how many times this thing happens. Okay, continuous data is data that is measured, meaning I can get 5 feet and 6 feet, but I can also get 5.1. I can get 5.798 if I wanted to be super exact. Okay, you can kind of get any number in between, and that's what continuous is. Okay. All right, as you're collecting the data, you want to focus on two very important questions. Okay, this is what we're going to focus on. Are you getting data that is accurate? And is there anything unusual about your data? Okay, so let's start with the first one. First, is it accurate? So the reliable data has to be free of errors and bias. This is something that's actually very hard to do. Okay, data isn't perfect. Okay, it is really important that you are very careful when you're collecting or recording information. Okay, because if you're not, data can be very unreliable. Okay, it's an easy thing to mess up. Okay. All right, so bias. Bias is a huge, huge issue in statistics. Okay, surveys, for one, are easily biased because people are more likely to participate if they have a very strong opinion. Think about comment cards at restaurants or at workplaces. Okay, if you've ever worked in retail or customer service, you know that the people that are sending or replying to those comment cards are the people that are very angry. Okay, ones that have very strong opinions. You're not going to get those, general run-of-the-mill everyday opinion. Okay, so be careful when you do surveys. Also, bias could happen with wording. Okay, if you advertise only on particular websites. Okay, if you only try to get certain people to answer your survey, well, then you're getting a skewed result. Okay. Also how you word things, what do you think of this person's clever plan? Really? Okay, if you're saying how you feel, how you're asking the question, you're manipulating them to not want to say it's clever, because people don't want to argue, right? Well, I take that back. People want to argue, but when it comes to surveys or just telling a stranger their political opinions, they usually try to not start anything. All right, so anything unusual about the data, so that is in particular outliers. Okay, so outliers are something that's very different than the rest of the data. They can occur for a whole number of reasons. Okay, it's super important to be able to identify and describe your outliers. You always should do this. Okay, so make sure when we get there, you know what to do with outliers. Okay, always look for them. So going back to sampling from a population. All right. And in a perfect world, you would be able to get the entire population. Okay, we'll be able to get all the residents of Florida. Okay, that sounds good on paper, but actually going door to door or talking to every single person in Florida is a little insane. Okay, so we try to get a sample. There's no rule for how large the sample should be. It really just comes down to the bigger the sample, the better the picture. Okay, so since there is no set rule, because it depends on how big your population is, it's when you're looking at someone else's data, always make sure you look at the sample size, because let's be honest, if you're only looking at a sample of 5, how reliable is it? Okay, however, if you're looking at a issue with a certain disease and only 7 people have been diagnosed to have the disease and you've got data on 5 of them, well, then maybe it's useful, right? Okay, so just think about your sample, okay, and make sure that your sample is random, right? Like if I was going to get all the residents of Florida, I'd want to get a random sample. I don't want to just get only the people of Tallahassee. That's not random enough. Okay, you want to get a better representation of the entire population. Okay, so these are your types of random sampling. Okay, your most common one is your simple one. Simple, completely random process. You choose items out of a hat. A random number generator. You have a list of people and random number generator picks people off those lists. Completely randomized. Okay, but that's usually you've got to have your list, your population list already. Okay, so that you can randomly choose every single person. Okay, you want every single person to have a equal chance of being picked. All right, convenience. Choosing a sample based on how easy it is to find the data. So the first 20 people that walk past you in the mall. Convenience. What is it? Questioning people at a football game because they're all right there. Getting what I talked about, getting just the or sample of Tallahassee. That's a convenient sample because you're getting just location. Okay. Something like that. Okay, it makes it easy for you to select people. Systematic. Let's see. Okay, I like the examples. So systematic is you've got a set way of doing kind of like a simple random sampling. Okay, this is also called an SRS. You'll see that a lot. Simple random sample. A systematic is kind of more, think about like if you can't just do things random and you got to have like rules, do systematic, and that's doing like rolling a dice, and then you start with the 6th person in line, and then you choose every 10th person after that. Okay, that would be systematic. All right, because just picking randomly, so you're just going to pick every person. All right, quota. Okay. Quota is getting certain characteristics. So maybe I want to see if a new lotion is better for your skin. I don't know. So then I'm going to just get a sample of ladies between 16 and 25 because that's my target demographic. Okay? Because I want to target specifically women. All right? It's not a random selection. Okay? So you can use a convenience method. It's so you can just get your target demographic. That's kind of more when you would use a convenience sample. Hoping this is making sense. Stratified is another common one. So stratified is when you want to match the population. Okay, so say the population is 45% male and 55% female. I don't want to get a sample that's 75% female. That's not useful for me. That doesn't match the population. So stratified makes sure that I get a sample that represents the population, and I want to make sure that the genders are equally represented. That's what stratified is. You're kind of matching that population. Okay? So it's really important that you know all this vocab. These are everything that you should know in the first section. We're taking topic 4 very slowly. It's very important that you get every single part of it because that's the biggest part of IBAI. Okay? If you have any questions, please ask me in class because this statistics can get overwhelming very fast and you need to make sure you know the vocab. So go ahead and start making flashcards. Go ahead and start putting this stuff together now because this is, again, the biggest section on your IB Math AI exam. Okay? All right, I'll see you in class.